Take it easy. So there was a question asked in the previous session. Can you give me use cases? Can you give me examples of how to use Zoho tools to do that? So today we're going to go ahead and do that. During the session, that'll apply it to the customer experience, whether that be an internal change to your organization or an external change to your organization, leveraging different AI tools to elevate the CX. So if you don't like the examples I give you, at bare minimum, you'll have a strategy to take a look at the tools, assess if your organization is ready, and how to implement AI within your organization. So we'll take a look at how Zia works within the Zoho suite. And then, like I mentioned, we'll break Zia down into its fundamentals. And we'll take a look at custom solutions that I built for a couple different customers. And then internally within my team, how we leverage AI. So the strategy. The first thing to do is assess, is your company ready? Is your customer experience mature enough? Do you even have an outline of all the touch points that your customer may go through, from lead to cash, from cash to delivery, and then retention? We need to define the objectives within each touch point or within each phase of that customer experience. What are we measuring? The second thing is, based on that, if you have those two foundation points there, you can go ahead and identify how are you going to implement different AI functionality within that process. Not necessarily the entire process, but what elements could receive AI to be enhanced. And then after that, you want to measure. So you take the KPIs that you defined previously and see, did AI make my CX better? Am I more efficient? Are we judging based on CSAT scores? Is it first contact resolution? Things like that. The second thing we do are the pieces of this puzzle. So the four, it's like soft skills, hard skills. The four things we have are data. What do we currently have in our CRM, in our inventory application, and our support application? Desk, CRM, and inventory. We're very descriptive with our application names. What do I have in there? Is it garbage? Is it organized? Do I need to audit it? How old is it? What are we doing there? The technology. Essentially, does the technology that we're currently using align with what we want to do? Does the AI that we're about to implement align with where we want to go? And the third one is people. Will my people adopt AI? Am I going to have a bunch of people that do not know how to leverage it? I'm getting a lot of feedback. Do not know how to leverage it? Do I have people that do not want to implement and actually go through with this? You kind of have to train them on how to actually use it. And then we have the fourth one, which is our process. I had mentioned that. You have the ability to, again, identify, is this the right process for me to elevate with AI? Like I mentioned, for data, is it ready? If your organization has changed over the past decade and you're trying to train AI on stuff from year 1 and you're trying to do things in year 10, does it really make sense to use data from 1 through 5? Likely not. So then we have to discard it and understand what we're about to feed the model needs to be relevant to what I'm trying to do. Clean, accurate, structured, and accessible by the model. We have governance. If you work in healthcare, finance, or compliance-based industries that have to follow CCPA, GDPR, HIPAA, any of that, identify what can I use? Do I need to get it out of there and go ahead and just use non-identifiable information within the model? And then we have the preparation. After we say, hey, I want to go ahead and make sure it's clean, past 5 years, I want to get rid of all PII, we can leverage this data set. We clean it up. We make sure it's readable by the model, whether that's through PDFs, plain text, different type of database structures. That's the first step. Make sure your data is clean, prepped, and that you've done everything correctly. Second item, technology. Like I mentioned, does the tech make sense with what I need to do in order to enhance my customer experience? Is it scalable? And I'll talk about that within my example. If I implement this AI tool, is it going to exceed the compute, going to exceed the cost of actually getting an ROI on using it? If I use this for one person, how easy is it for another person to use, or a third or fourth person to use? The third is integrations. Being able to use Zoho's ecosystem, whether it's Zia, Desk, Catalyst, how are we sharing that data, and what is our tech stack? So we have the data, we align it based on the tech stack we're going to use, and then we go ahead and employ people. Make sure everyone in the organization is on board. I've had quite a few discussions on I want to use AI, but my colleague doesn't. They say it sucks. They use it at home. They couldn't figure it out, blah, blah, blah. Make sure everyone's on board. You'll have to have, a CX leader being able to implement and prove that it works and deploy that within your organization. Once you do that, you need to make sure all the people in the organization understand how it works, skill them up to use it, and then make sure they use it in a way that makes sense for them. It may be getting better. They'll be getting better. It's like having your own assistant with you, and they can, see it that way and use it that way. Last one. There we go. Process. It's beyond automation. Ram had mentioned, in the very beginning, it was about automating things. This takes it one step further. It enables relevant responses. It gives you context. It can go search for data and some other thing. It's not just, I go from point A to point B, and it's a predefined process. It actually can impact your customer journey in a way that all the touch points can be impacted, which we'll see shortly. And again, give you the context. The other thing we have is internal optimization. As we use AI and the tools we'll see shortly, you'll notice that your internal processes may need to change or bend just a little bit, because you may be taking out the cost of human capital and no longer needing someone to actually perform a task. So what does that look like within CRM? And like I mentioned, I want to cover all the cool stuff we have built in. Then we'll cover a custom use case from a customer, and then I'll cover mine. So we're up here. We're not, to the dark depths of the ocean yet. We're going to take a look at these features. So the first one, Zia scoring. If your lead to cash conversion process and people are wasting a lot of time understanding, hey, I'm just dialing out, I'm not getting any conversions, your Zia score can take into account a lot of different variables in order to produce a score that will let your sales reps or call center know, hey, these are the people you should call. A common situation that we encounter is, hey, my KPI is call volume. It might not be call effectiveness. So Zia scoring takes care of all that, looks at your previous leads, understand who is the person more likely to convert, and tells your agents, prioritize them, and then go through the list. Don't just get a list and go. Call transcription. This is really great because if you integrate your telephony provider, we can actually pull all the transcripts, and you'll notice key highlights on the right, enables you to see what they're talking about. You can extrapolate key phrases. You can see key sentences. You can see on the left the actual conversation. So if you're auditing a call as a manager, really easy to just hop in and look at it. If you're using this later, which we'll see, you can take that summary and create action items from it. So that way I take a call, I don't have to do an agenda or meeting minutes. Transcribes, analyzes, boom, puts it in the notes so I know, hey, a task can be created and I can follow up. Deal closure prediction. So after you have the call done, after you've converted that lead, the next thing is to close. And that may be a different salesperson. It may not be a BDR, it may be an actual account rep. You want them also focusing on the high value targets and prioritizing them effectively. So similar to Zia scoring, the deal prediction says, what's the likelihood of this person to actually close and give us cash? It's two different phases within the customer experience of the journey. And these two tools help you identify, again, lead to convert and then convert to cash and how to prioritize it. Workflow suggestions. So like I mentioned, we're going beyond just automating our processes, and we're going beyond just doing workflows. It's driving insight into what are my people actually doing. And Zia can come in and suggest, hey, as it turns out, a lot of your leads aren't being reached out to. Regardless of calls being made, emails being sent, they may not be opening those emails. You don't have time to analyze every single email and run reports every day. Just have people doing the high value activity and the action, and Zia monitors it and lets you know what you should do. For the sales rep themselves, email sentiment, I'm sure we've seen this quite a few. I won't go over it. Does everyone know what email sentiment is? Perfect, cool. I want to get to the fun stuff, so I'm just going to burn it. Cool. Email draft and smart prompt. This is Gen AI, and we'll talk about the pieces of the puzzle. If people have a hard time creating content given to the individual and crafting it and creating a real sales pitch or overcoming objections, Zia now allows you to, again, use the tool to create something to close that deal. Some people are good on the phone, some people are good on email. You can look at the data and understand those and exchange the skill between the individuals. We have anomaly alerts, understanding, again, what are our people doing? Are they getting worse? Are they getting better? Again, this has been in the application for a while, but I just like to bring it up. All right, Now, let's say we, had lead to cash. We went in and converted that individual. We need to go ahead and apply AI to our services. Ram has showed us how to make a new project and how to take a BRD, input it into Zoho projects, and have Zoho projects actually create your tasks, create all the due dates, all the requirements directly in projects. Yeah, so we'll just watch the GIF because I think this is really cool. It won't make this obsolete here in 10 minutes, but I just think it's a really cool function. So anyway, we create it, you're good to go. It takes care of that process. Like I mentioned before, when I talk about your data, one of the biggest requirements I had on my team is how do I take a deal and automatically create a project based on the sale that I just made, the type of sale, the project date, and all that stuff. You get into a situation where, like we just talked about, that's automation, that's static. It's not going to grow with you. If you change, you have to hire an admin and do a bunch of junk. This just shows that if you're changing your process, your BRD may change, but projects over time will learn what you do. And you can put that BRD in, and it's going to go ahead and just create the project for you without you saying, ooh, I got to go change this to loose script because I have a new project template, and it's going to be a pain. So just a great example of using that. Now, getting into the weeds, for those that work in construction or have punch lists, if you always find it painful to make a punch list, here we go. We can go ahead and say, upload your text request or the customer's request via email, make a bunch of tasks for me in my project. That's my punch list. I want to go do it. Your project manager now has more time to manage the project rather than doing busy work. And those in the field that are actually installing or building the item or the object don't have to go through projects and add stuff and make due dates and stuff. It just does it for you right here. Next thing is the summary. We've seen it. You probably do it already. You probably use it. I guess I probably should ask how many people are using AI in their organization today. All right, cool. Enough. So yeah, we've all done it. I want to burn it. Now we apply it to customer support. Same thing, Zia ticket summary. How does Zia help us understand a really long, lengthy thread if something's escalated? I use this pretty often to understand, hey, I don't want to read everything in sequential order. This allows me to get a nice contextual view of what's going on. You also have settings that understand, well, give me context to what the customer is doing, but also give me context to what we did by unchecking and looking at the specific data set we're looking at. So it's really easy to use just to go ahead and get a summary. We have the answer bot. Internally, allows your agents to understand, hey, I don't know the answer to this question. I need some help. Let me phone a friend. Gives me sources, tells me what the answer should be. Hey, it's a 4-wheel drive model. Is that an option? As it turns out, it is. It also works externally. The answer bot you can put that on your help desk site. You can put it on your own website. It uses the same data set to answer customer questions. So in case you have a situation on any different channels, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, whatever it may be, you can go ahead and leverage the same answer bot externally. Typically what I recommend, use it internally, craft it, make sure your agents are checking it, everything may look good, and then you can release it to the public. That way you're not giving answers incorrectly right out of the gate. And then reply assistance. Very similar to the CRM email drafting, but in a customer support context, there may be a situation where I don't have the exact knowledge. I haven't skilled myself up yet. So this allows me to answer a question that I may not have the data for, or the data in my brain, the knowledge for, and go ahead and generate a response. So all these things are really great, amplifying either the sales process, the project delivery process, or the customer support process. And my clicker isn't moving forward, so I'm going to do it for us. There we go. So what are the results? Again, in the support process, just understanding, do we have an influx of tickets? Where are those tickets coming from? Are my agents, do they work, I'll say seasonally, best between 9 and 12 a.m. or 12 p.m. And then they kind of take lunch and go down. So you can see incoming and outgoing responses. You can see auto tags as tickets come in. You can see if your customers are getting more angry or less angry. These are all great. I'm sure we've heard it a dozen times throughout this conference. Sentiment analysis, keyword analysis. Again, just identifying those informations. Now, that was level 1. That was everything built into our suite. We're gonna go one level lower. So how technical are we? Do we understand buzzwords like this? So everything you just saw uses these 6 elements: computer vision, quick ML, combo craft for the agent, LLM to generate different text for people, Gen AI for our summaries, NLP to understand sentiment analysis. All these functions, I want to do a shameless plug, exist in Catalyst. We have it in our underlying infrastructure, but if you'd like to pull these tools out, you can. You may ask, how do I use these tools, or why would I even think about doing my own solution for my organization? Because we give you the toolbox and you may have to build your house. What's really cool about this is when we talk about the problem that a customer had, they took our toolbox, I knew it, and we implemented a process for return and exchanges. So how do we assess what they're doing? Do they have enough data? In this scenario, they're an e-commerce organization, and they ship out about $400 million of product every year. They have a lot of data. They have a lot of order data, return data, exchange data, images of products, which is crucial to this implementation. What do they want to be able to do is take a good and essentially get rid of me approving the return or understanding, did the customer damage it? Did they not install it correctly? Was the package damaged? How much of that labor can they take away from me and automate into the AI? So when they define their objectives, again, it's just decreasing the cost of human capital for the specific task. It's making sure the CSAT scores increase because someone gets helped a lot quicker. It's making sure that the first contact resolution is resolved from the agent or from a phone call. When they implement it, we talk through that. I'll get into details there. It's being able to understand, again, what tech stack are we using? What database are we using? Is it Zoho? Is it NetSuite? Is it inventory? Whatever it may be. And pushing that through. And then how do we measure? So does the CSAT score increase or decrease? Are we having a higher false positive or false negative rate when it comes to exchanging a good when we receive it back in the warehouse? It's taking those elements and, like we talked about in defining our KPIs, measuring it. At the end of the day, if you've implemented something in AI and either takes you longer or it doesn't really have a net benefit, just throw it in the trash. It doesn't really matter. You could probably just try again. But isn't that business, right? You don't want to waste too many resources. So anyway, stacking it up, their data, they had a lot of return and exchange data. They had a lot of pictures, 3D models of the product they were selling online. We used that as the fundamental platform. We looked at their technology stack, which had a lot of great integrations, being able to pull those images out, understanding the items, the SKUs, any variants. They also had colors built into those products, which was kind of fun, but a nightmare. The people involved. So the agents now go from, hey, instead of being a return and exchange, chatting or calling, looking at a picture and approving, you now are just validating the AI. You just get the product back in the warehouse, you look at it and you go, okay, it's right or it's wrong. If it's wrong, call the customer, make sure everything's okay. If it's right, it did its job. They did have to change their process a little bit because the role of that individual did change in order to be more of a validation individual rather than a actual worker. So AI in the exchange process, the request was through Combo Craft. That's an agent within, or not an agent. That's a tool within Catalyst to create, natural language conversations between individuals. The analysis uses image and object comparison. Again, a Catalyst tool to understand, example, the box is damaged, the good is broken, or the box is damaged. If there's a big old dent and you have an image of a normal square cardboard box, just do the exchange. They may just want a new package. Now, the other item is if they have the object or the item in their hand, they send you a picture of a broken object because you may have pictures of the object online. It could compare the customer's object to what you have. So then you have a situation where you essentially have object recognition to understand, this tail light is broken. It does not look like the tail light that we have on our website. Okay, the box is also dented. What are we going to do here? Probably just exchange it or send another one. We then go through that. We have the approval. Like I mentioned, you go through that process, you identify, shipping damage versus product damage, and then you approve or deny that request from the individual. Just to understand how that works, like I mentioned, you have a bunch of approval and denials. They have a bunch of things in their help desk software to understand, here's when we said no and here's when we said yes, and they have the images from when they said no and when they said yes. So it's really easy to go ahead and run that model on there and understand what's the fuzzy logic or the gray area that we allow someone to send something back and give them something else. Beyond that, we have fulfillment. Again, ML, where is this item at and what's the fastest option through FedEx, UPS, or whatever to get the new item in that person's hand. If we have 7 distribution centers across the US, how do we identify CRM data, which would be their address and shipping address? We identify how we shipped it last time. And then we say, ooh, we're not going to do that one from this distribution center. We're going to do a different shipping provider from a different distribution center that may be closer and test our luck and see if they can get it there without being damaged. And then at the end, like I mentioned, you have to do the CSAT score to understand, did that person enjoy that experience or was it worse? If you put in AI and your customers start saying, it didn't feel like you were taking care of me, it might be a situation where you roll it back and apply it in a different way, or just don't make it customer facing. And you can see in this process, 1 through 4 typically were handled by people. It's now 80% AI driven. So you have a situation, like I mentioned, where you displace labor to do something more valuable for your organization and train the AI. They essentially have the law of big numbers, $400 million. You have a 1% error rate with humans. That could cost you $4 million. You can get that down to a 0.5% error rate. You've saved $2 million. That's enough for a pool in the backyard. That's what the boss said. So that's what their goal was, and that's what they were trying to do. They had other KPIs, like I mentioned, cost per return, deflecting it. So if that individual sends you just a really dumb picture, box is perfectly fine, item is broken, there might be a situation where you say, no, we're not doing it. They also did run their measures on false positive, false negative. Like I mentioned, how many times is the AI allowing something through or denying something? You have to follow that very closely when you make that transition. And then the business outcome is that they decrease return velocity? I don't know, it got better. So someone could literally go chat the bot, send a picture from the chat, get a FedEx label within 5 minutes and knowing, oh, I'm gonna get that good in 2 days. No human intervention at all to get that person taken care of if it's a shipping provider problem. On top of that, those customers stay around because they know if I continue to order parts, I'll be taken care of very quickly. It's a B2B situation. And also those customers won't leave because they won't feel burned. They don't feel like somebody went ahead and said no to them. It's not me versus organization, because now if that person gets mad, you can say, hey, we implemented AI, it was automated, let's go and take care of you. So now it becomes you, an enemy of an enemy is my friend, you and the customer versus the AI. Oops, it made an oopsie. So anyway, their churn decreased, and it's all about perspective here on doing that. There's a little bit of a difference. So the question was, what's the difference between like the ASAP bot or the Zoho bot and then the Sales IQ? Sales IQ, you got a little bit more granular control. There's always 12 ways to skin a cat at Zoho. So if someone has Sales IQ, they can use Helper Bot with, I think it's like a paid add-on, or they can use OpenAI, or they can use something else or ConvoCraft to do it. If you're using Desk without Sales IQ, we offer it, and it kind of has perspective, right? Because the context of Sales IQ typically is more sales focused and quick, helping somebody find something on your site, as where Desk Helper Bot is, oh, you've already purchased. So those two perspectives are brought forth in the modeling. I'm sure if you experiment with it, it won't answer a lot of like creative questions, but it'll answer a lot of, hey, is in the KB. So Sales IQ I'd use for external facing sales, and Desk I probably use the ASAP is for support. If you want to use both, you can, but again, over time, you can train one of them to do the job well. My tool, how do we use it at Zoho? On my team, I'm a solution consultant, project delivery stuff. So I implement Zoho for different customers, like you just saw. I take their business use case and apply it. So how does my tool make us more efficient? Hopefully this answers a question about how does Zoho break that down internally. Again, I'm a team of 9, so I don't speak for the company even though I have the badge. Kind of went rogue on this one. So anyway, to assess it, how mature is my team? Our 9 people on using AI. Our boss said to use it, so I used it. Anyway, so we were pretty ready. We're all excited. Alex, Sammy, and me, super hype, ready to go. So anyway, our use case was, how do I go from having my business analysis call and my discovery calls to actually implementing the Zoho suite, specifically CRM? That's the first hurdle we wanted to do. So we're ready. We've defined it. We've defined our objective is scope, CRM setup. That's it. No more. Nothing too crazy. Our KPIs during that implementing this, we're essentially identifying, are we decreasing time? Are we making our not sales engineers, what are we called? solution consultants, whatever, engineers, we make it more effective. Are we taking the de-jargoned business analysis, jargoning it up so someone can actually implement CRM? That was one of them, but also the time to MVP or the time to stand up. That's my measure. So anyway, we went ahead and did a phase rollout. I did it on our project. He's here today. Thank you, Sean. He's in the audience. You can talk to him about it. Went ahead and did it. So let's talk about it. The pieces, the data. This was the hardest thing for me. When you're not allowed to use customer data across, different tools, I had to start from ground up. So it was like, hey, I'm using the CRM. Here's all of our deluge documentation. Here's all the CRM API documentation, shoving it into this model, trying to figure out, okay, do you understand it? Do you know what I'm trying to do? Do you know the context? Technology, like I mentioned, fortunately I work for Zoho, so I have all these tools internally and I don't have to pay for them. Or I got one laugh out of that. So I was able to do that. So we used, like I mentioned, the LLM. I didn't use Combo Craft. I used NLP, and then I used, I think it was serverless in Catalyst, and then some other thing. There's a slide that has it. And then the people, I was a champion within our team. So I would essentially every week be like, hey guys, this is some cool things I'm doing. This is step 1 in our process, BA to transcription. This is step 2, whatever. So I was a champion. If you've got the champion, it's really easy to implement. Now everyone thinks I'm the smartest person on the team. Definitely not, just the craziest to do it with a lot of free time. So anyway, so I was a champion, and now I implement it within 4 of us. Hopefully I can get the other 5 later. Then our process, it's looking at our process and understanding like, hey, okay, it's again, BA to feasibility, to scope of work, to scheduling the project, to deploying the project, to UAT. Where are we fitting this in? I tried to fit it in everywhere, but up front it was BA to scope, and then scope to SC, and then SC to implement, and then MVP to stand up. So those are my 4 pieces. Like I said, it's a strategy. It's how you have to approach it. Because if I approach it and just say, this is some cool thing, then it's really awesome. And then my boss is like, yeah, but how does it make you better? I don't know, man. It's just really cool. So again, don't just use AI to use it. You really got to define it, and you really got to call these things out. So anyway, the first step, like I mentioned, taking meeting transcripts and creating a backlog. For those that have worked with partners, those that have done any project at all, you'll understand you'll get a huge 5-hour discussion. So anyway, you can take your meeting transcripts and for us, put it into the AI. It'll analyze, 5 hours. It'll get context over the 5 hours. You give it context of who you're working with. It'll produce these backlog items. And for us in implementation, the backlog items are the truth. They are, what does a customer want and what have they agreed to in the scope of work? So Alex and Sammy use the tool to take, again, 5 hours of meetings, a Zoho meeting, shove it in the LLM, and produce this. It does get creative. Typically what I mention, and you may have experienced it yourself, is if you can tune it down and make it more determinate, typically a temperature of 0 to 0.2, then you'll have a much better time doing what you need to do. If you leave it default at 0.7, for those who are technical, using OpenAI and different models, that's creative and it's annoying and it's dumb. And I'll show you why later. So anyway, I had to tune it down, and then it started giving me exactly what I wanted: name, description, details, which are the 3 key components of scoping out a backlog. Now here's the fun part. So for me, I was tired of waiting on agents. I thought it was this really cool thing. So what you're looking at here is my little internal tool. Jeeves is my homepage. You'll notice it connects to Zoho CRM. It authenticates with the client's CRM securely using OAuth 2.0. So I'm not using anything crazy. It's not, wild. It's just hanging out in the cloud. On the left, you'll notice these are settings in the CRM. Fields, modules, roles, territories, variables, just a bunch of cool stuff that's available via the CRM endpoint. Go check out our documentation. So what's the idea here? Like I mentioned, to implement it properly, I want to implement CRM. That's all I really want to do. I don't want to do much else. So I made these little agents to do fields. All right, this agent can do fields. Cool. This agent can make me a custom module. So who is here for Raju's keynote? Most folks? Okay. You can raise your hands higher. I think no one will smell your pits. But anyway, So he had shown us combo craft and co-browsing, or excuse me, co-browsing within Zia to set up a module. That's all great, but in my head, I'm so lazy that I don't even want to navigate to that. So it's a situation where Alex will get the scope and then I can plug it into these and just send it on its merry way and get it done. So the scope of work actually gets pasted into here, and this uses LLM plus Cloud Scale and Zoho Catalyst. So you'll go ahead and just, like I mentioned, copy paste. So this is my example. I need a custom module called veterinarians, add 5 fields to the accounts module. I don't even define the fields. For a pet hotel, can you create a role for the pet sitter? Can you add territories on Houston based on zip code? That's it. The entire thing just dumped here. Now, I would have shown the other one, but it's custom. It's kind of like, it's really big, and I don't want to take an hour to watch it compute out. But you go ahead and submit this. And after you submit this, this is the output. It makes a custom module for my veterinarians. It creates a Houston territory, writes a description, puts in the billing zip code. It creates the role for pet sitter. So it does all the stuff that you saw yesterday, but in one shot. So for me, all I have to do is get the scope from Alex or Sammy, throw it into this text box, pray that doesn't screw it up, and then implement it for a customer. So that's pretty much it. That's my internal tool, and it's really good. I really like it. I will say, for those of you that are not on board with AI, because you got frustrated and somebody turned you off from it, and you aren't really a risky person, you're risk averse, I understand, we all have to understand, it will not get it done the first time. As you can see here, this was, one of the first attempts that I had. It made everything a drop down for some reason, like a pick list. I don't know why. So like a preferred pickup time. I think we all know that should probably be a date time. Didn't work. Preferred drop off didn't work. Pet types was kind of cool. Room numbers was a number. But yeah, it was kind of a hit and miss. So it took me 4 hours of just pushing it, saying, hey, it's not right. This is right. Hey, this isn't right. This is right. This is my desired outcome. And then we finally got there. So I think total time was like 26 hours of my life dedicated to training the model. And now I can do it in one shot. For us, the measures of success using this tool is the transcription to scope decreased by 89%. 6 hours of Alex's time dedicated to structure, organizing, understanding, pretty much eliminating stuff that came up in call 1 that they said they don't want in call 5 gets taken care of. So 89% decrease, 6 hours to about, I think, like 45 minutes. He can spend now communicating and being a touch point with the customer. For me, scope to MVP, which is just getting it stand up, it decreased by 74%. Because I can take that scope and I can understand, I think the model can do this for me. Copy, paste, execute, copy, paste, execute, copy, paste, execute. So it does help me out and make my job easier. Now the CSAT, Sean's here. Sean, did we do okay on the project? Yes. Boom. All right, great, done, it worked. My CSAT is a thumbs up. Thanks for that. I need a little engagement today. So anyway, that was our measure of success. So we implement, like I mentioned, the tool to take care of a specific process for our team. I defined what I wanted to try to execute, and now I measure it, and I think that's pretty successful. I think it's pretty good. There's always room for improvement, but I don't know if I want to have a job, so we'll see. Anyway, so here's some questions that, I always typically give people to ask is like, how am I going to measure success? Is it going to be a CSAT score? Is it just going to be an NPS? Yes or no? Did we do it? Did we not? For internal folks, like I showed, internally, you may have first call resolution, cost per ticket, deflection rates like the other customer, and then your business outcomes. So these are all things to take into account and not just use AI for the sake of using it, but truly understanding, is it bringing value to your organization? So these are questions that you can walk out of here with to apply to your strategy. Again, like, hey, what's the biggest pain point within my customer experience? What do I need to solve? Do I use the Zoho tool that's built in, Desk Projects, CRM? Do I need to take out and use the elements of those tools and apply it to my organization? Again, am I even ready? Is my data ready? Am I going to be looking at, again, garbage data because I've changed my process over the past 10 years? How am I supposed to use a forecasting thing if I can't even how am I supposed to use AI if I can't even forecast 365 days out within my organization? And then you define, what does a successful pilot project look like? Now, this one, I always mention, it's fine if it doesn't work out the first time. It's not like it's a useless endeavor. Like I mentioned, I put a boundary and said, hey, I want to do this for a week. If it doesn't work in a week, it's done. And that is inherently successful. Why is it successful? Because either I know that my tech stack is not, robust enough. I know that my people processes aren't there yet. I know that my data is not there. You get answers to the questions that we ask up front. That way, when you approach it next time, you know what to work on to go ahead and implement AI within your organization.